This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Monday means it's Modern Monday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and we have a super unique take on an Eldrazi list to look at today. This is like this weird sort of combo-y Eldrazi list, Fiend Win Eldrazi. It comes to us from Hawakawa Kyuta, who took it to a top 8 finish in a small Japanese tournament, so congrats to Kyuta on a really cool deck. A quick reminder before we break down Fiend Win Eldrazi for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you'll want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Fiend Win Eldrazi is kind of this like weird emergy style Eldrazi deck, but with a combo twist. So we start off with our early game plays. Mana Reshaper, Vendilion Click give us cards that come down and generate some value when they enter the battlefield or when they die, while also being reasonable bodies on their own. So Mana Reshaper, you get a 3/2 for 3, which is fine. When it dies, we get a card if it's cheap on the battlefield. If it not, it goes to our hand. So value when it happens to die. And then Vendilion Click, kind of like our blue Thoughtseize, come down, pressures our opponent's hand. If we end up sacking it later to one of our merge creatures, we already kind of got our Thoughtseize value out of it by taking a combo piece or whatever. Then we have a couple of odder choices. Wasteland Strangler gives us the ability to kill a small creature, but we gotta have something in our opponent's exile zone to make it work. Eternal Scourge can keep coming back from the exile zone if our opponent targets it with something. Instead of actually dying, it goes to exile, then we can recast it. So kind of a repeatable threat from our exile zone. The trick here is we're also playing main deck Relica Progenitus. So Relica Progenitus does two really important things. So it lets us tap to exile a card. We can also just nuke all the graveyards if we run into like Hollow One or something. The new Vengevine decks, Dredge, it gives us a main deck, exile all the graveyards, we gotcha type of card. But it synergizes really well with Wasteland Strangler and Eternal Scourge. So Wasteland Strangler, if our opponent cracks a fetch land or whatever, we can just exile it with Relic to make sure we have a card to put into our opponent's graveyard from exile with Wasteland Strangler to kill one of their creatures. And then with Eternal Scourge, if it dies naturally or we sack it to one of our merge creatures, it would be going to the graveyard, not exile, but then we can use Relic to exile it, so then we can recast it and get this weird, like, sort of repeatable card advantage with Eternal Scourge. So those are our 3 drops. We also have Thought-Knot Seer, just because Thought-Knot Seer is a really powerful card. It comes down, lets us attack our opponent's hand. We do have Eldrazi Temple in the deck to let it come down a bit quicker. Turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer, or even turn 2 if we get the luckiest of land draws with double Eldrazi Temple. Really devastating play against most decks, just taking our opponent's best card and leaving behind a really big on-curve body. The sweet part of the deck, though, is our emerge creatures. We have 4 Elder Deep-Fiends and 2 Descended Mindbenders. So on one level, we just cast these and get a lot of value out of them by sacrificing one of our 3 mana plays. We have Mana Reshaper, Vendilion Click, Eternal Scourge. Any of those things are good to sacrifice, even Wasteland Strangler in a pinch. But Elder Deep-Fiend, we want to time this so it comes down on our opponent's upkeep with Flash, and we just tap down 4 of our opponent's permanents, most likely they're 4 lands, and it basically ends up being the equivalent of a Time Walk on a massive 5/6 body. So that's the plan there. Distended Mindbender, really good against like combo decks, control decks when we're stealing 2 cards from our opponent's hand and leaving behind a big body. The super sweet thing about this deck, though, is we're not looking to just Elder Deep-Fiend once. What we really want to be doing is repeatedly Elder Deep-Fiending to keep our opponent tapped down for multiple turns while we're beating down with our big board full of creatures, our Elder Deep-Fiends. So the secret here is the oft-forgotten Release to the Wind. I've never actually seen anyone playing this card, but it works incredibly well with Elder Deep-Fiend. So the plan is we emerge out the Elder Deep-Fiend, then when our opponent gets to their next upkeep, we simply use Release to the Wind as basically a 3-mana version of Elder Deep-Fiend. We exile Elder Deep-Fiend, we can cast it without paying its mana cost, so we immediately recast it, tap down our opponent's lands again for another Time Walk effect, and then if we have another Release to the Winds or another Elder Deep-Fiend, we can do it again the next turn, and make our opponent skip 2 or 3 or even 4 turns in a row while we're beating down with Thought Knots and all these random Eldrazi's, which is hopefully enough to just win the game. So why one Elder Deep-Fiend is good, 2 or 3 Elder Deep-Fiends in a row, usually just game winning, and that is a pretty realistic goal with the help of Release to the Winds, exiling our Elder Deep-Fiend. Otherwise, for removal, pretty simple. Couple of Dismembers, couple of Collective Brutalities, which is kind of like our catch-all, does a little bit of everything. Can also discard like our Eternal Scourges and exile them with Relic for card advantage, so nice little synergy there with Brutality. Damnation, All is Dust, give us a couple of sweepers. Talisman of Dominance, just ramping us into our thing, works really well with our colorless spells, because similarly to the Pain lands, it's kind of taps for 3 colors of mana, because we can get blue or black to cast like Elder Deep-Fiend, Descended Mindmetter. Also makes colorless to let us cast Thought-Knot Seers, Matter Reshapers. In the mana base, we get a lot of interesting lands. Creeping Tar Pit gives us a way to attack Planeswalkers or go at our opponent's face. Sanctum of Ugin is another way to chain our Elder Deep-Fiends. We cast one, we sack Sanctum, get another one, cast the next one, sack another Sanctum, get another one. So it enables that loop of multiple Time Walks in a row with Elder Deep-Fiend really well. Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter to deal with Tron lands and the like. Eldrazi Temple, really great in a deck full of Eldrazi. This is how we get our turn 2 Thought-Knot Seers and whatnot. Cavern to fight through counter spells, a bunch of weird dual lands that are kind of weighted towards adding colorless for our colorless Eldrazi, some basic lands including Waste. As far as the sideboard, we get some sweet Planeswalkers for grindy matchups, a couple of Lilianas, Warping Whale, kind of another do a little bit of everything type spell, getting rid of small creatures, countering stuff, even making a mana source if we need to, Echoing Truth to bounce something, some more sweepers of Damnation, All is Dust, Engineered Explosives, and then Inquisition to attack our opponent's hand, the last relic for graveyard matchups like the Vengevine decks, Pithing Needle to deal with Planeswalkers and things on the battlefield, and that is Fiend Win Eldrazi for Modern, and that's our Instant Deck for today. So thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.